That's the way I think. So my view of the world is a little different. So we have an election coming up, right? And there's something very important I want people to understand. Nobody ever said this to me, and I think people really need to be told this. Democracy is not for whining little pussies, all right? Democracy is not a spectator sport. You actually have to get involved in the whole thing, all right? And a lot of people don't. There you go. That's a patriotic response. And it really bugs me because there are these guys, like professional comedians, unlike me. Like what I do is like a stand-up comedy routine, only I don't care if anybody laughs. Now, I've listened to, there's this one guy who has a show where these comedians sit around and talk about issues of the day, and he was talking about a new segment on this show, The Constitution Sucks. Basically, that's what it is. And he was all upset about how, people who were like convicted child molesters who had been released, or sex offenders had been released, this thing about that it was found unconstitutional that they couldn't like live like pretty much wherever they wanted to. And he said, the Constitution sucks. And I was just like, this is an adult saying this too. This is a guy my age. And I think there's this whole, basically making people want to be more irrational. There's this other like comedian who has another talk show, and he described what he does. I think it's on, I don't know what it's a CNN or not CNN. It's some cable thing, and basic cable. And we should say enough. But he described his show as news as catharsis. Okay, it's not about informing anybody. It's not about empowering anybody. It's about, catharsis, like being angry so you can like feel better. Okay, now take a look at me, all right? Tattoos all over me, right? Needed like 5 years to graduate high school. Let me explain something about catharsis. The ancient Greeks, that's where the term came from. Catharsis was meant purification, like spiritual purification. They would have this theatrical event once a year, which was partly religious, and they would have 3 plays a day, and 2 tragedies, and then a comedy. The 2 tragedies were like somebody, marries his mother and then plunges his eyes out at the end of the play. And then the chorus comes out and says, don't judge a man, while they're still alive. And, just as you don't announce the winner of a race while they're still running. You wait until, which is the ancient Athenian way of saying, to be continued. So, and then they would have the comedy, where, you'd have satyrs with huge, enormous penises, like, prancing about the stage. And so the idea of making the audience weep and cry to the point where they're, like, actually shouting out to the actors on the stage and then laughing produced an effect they called catharsis, which was the purification of their spirit.